Hey everybody, this is Pat down at Glory Guns again, and I am back with more Second Amendment news, and man, is it getting interesting. But first, as always, we are sponsored by ourselves, gloryguns.com, our new website that we've had up for a little over a month now. And you can check it out. We've got thousands of firearms for sale on there. Last check I looked, we were over 7,000 different firearms, 4,500 different optics, tons of accessories. Not near as much ammo as we'd like, because what you're seeing is pretty much what's available in the country on there, except in a few spots. So go check us out, gloryguns.com. Get signed up for an account. Be one of the first 1,000 to get on there and make an account, and you'll be entered to win a brand new Gen 5 Glock 19 that will be drawn for as soon as we get that 1,000 people on there. Thought we'd be there by now, but Facebook really shadow banning us badly. We're not getting near the traction, and that's where we did most of our marketing before. So we're moving into this new way. So please come over there and check us out and see what we got and what we can do for you on there. Always, if you see something that you like and you got some questions about it, always just message us, email us, and we'll get right back to you and do what we can to help you out. All right, so let's get into the Second Amendment news. So a lot has been going on. There was a SCOTUS case that got heard. It was, I think, Tercevia versus Suffolk County, and it was about the warrantless search and seizures inside of a home and the use of a special needs exception to warrant requirement to confiscate firearms. The Supreme Court sent it back down to the Second Circuit and told them to use the former decision earlier this year about search and seizure, which is Coniglia versus Strom. Supreme Court decision earlier in the year, about 5 or 6 months ago, and they didn't. They decided to go the other way, so now it's being appealed back up to the Supreme Court, and looks like they're going to hear it. So that's going to be coming up soon. Recently, just our neighbors to the south, Tennessee, good old Tennessee. The Tennessee Supreme Court struck down a public housing ban in the state of Tennessee that they had. That if you had public housing, you couldn't have any firearms in public housing, which they struck that down as unconstitutional because you can't deny somebody their constitutional rights to give them or to do anything. That's just unconstitutional. So the Tennessee Supreme Court stood up on that and took that out, saved the federal Supreme Court a lot of time, unless the state challenges this. So I doubt they will. So that's probably going to hold down there and will hold precedent in a lot of places and to prevent the logjam at our federal level. And just recently, this past week, Tennessee was this past week, but in West Virginia, a federal judge in West Virginia invalidated part of a federal law that prohibits the possession of a firearm with an altered, obliterated, or removed serial number, citing the Supreme Court's recent decision in Bruin that demands a historical review of the gun laws to determine the constitutionality. So here comes Bruin again. This was the big one we talked about earlier in the year when the Supreme Court ruled on the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin that added the historical context to the rulings when federal courts are using Second Amendment cases. Now there's two big rulings. The big one was years ago, the Heller case. That's always been used, and that set a lot of the precedent for ruling in these cases, but it didn't go all the way. Now with the Bruin decision and Thomas's writing on how they came to that decision, the historical context has to be added. So this Judge Goodwin, he's a federal judge. He was a nominee of President Clinton, and he wrote that, quoted, where's the quote at? I had a note somewhere. Oh, he said that the Supreme Court decision in the Bruin case last summer, the provision of the law in question would be allowed prior to that, but Thomas' new test changed the game. He said, end quote, any modern regulation that does not comport with historical understanding of the right is deemed to be unconstitutional, regardless of how desirable, important that regulation may be in our modern society, unquote. That's huge. A federal judge who clearly didn't want to rule this way realized his hands were tied, and he ruled the way the Supreme Court set out. So now there's no historical context for serial numbers being taken off of a gun, or a gun not having a serial number. So there's a ruling on the ghost guns. They're trying to make you serialize these guns. So we'll see how this plays out. It's going to get challenged. We know it is, because this Bruin case has been used all summer long, and they have been beating things down. So we're just in the beginning stages of starting to do this, but so far it's working brilliantly. So another quote from Judge Goodwin. He said, "While I recognize there is an argument that firearms with an obliterated serial number are likely to be used in violent crime, and therefore a prohibition of their possession is desirable, that argument is the exact type of means and reasoning the Supreme Court has forbid me from considering," unquote. So he clearly was stating that he didn't want to rule this way. He wanted to look at it and be, hey, well, there's an argument that said, and hey, listen, I think everybody gets that. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what the Second Amendment actually says. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I left out the militia part, but the part we're looking at right now is shall not be infringed. So that means any of it. I mean, at the end of the day, even a felon should be able to own and purchase a handgun. Now, I'm not comporting to go out and do that, because I think every responsible gun owner wants to be able to keep the guns out of hands of violent criminals and people that have a history of that kind of crime. But, not every felony was a gun crime, or a violent crime. And so, when they're still citizens. It takes their right to vote. Why should it take their right to vote? What, because they committed a crime, they don't get to vote now? I mean, you're committing a crime by taking someone's rights. Anyways, this decision's important. It's landmark. They're using the Bruin case and the Heller case now. And unless a judge just is going to defy the Supreme Courts, which is going to make these rulings get challenged and just climb the chain, then this is the way it's going to continue to go. So we'll see. Ultimately, this is probably going to end in, the NFA being challenged. And once it does, it's going to go down. So there'll be no more NFA. I say some other version of that will probably be pushed through or something. I say there will probably still be some kind of machine gun ban. But as far as, and it may not be. I mean, honestly, there shouldn't be. I don't necessarily, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Probably don't want machine guns running around everywhere, just readily available. I think, I don't know. What do you think? Leave me some comments. Tell me what you think about it. Really interesting cases going down, and even more coming out. This video is starting to run a little long, so we'll go ahead and cut this one off here. I'll get another one out shortly. There's some more stuff coming out of New Jersey, and I think Oregon has got some interesting Second Amendment news. So I'll get that news together, and I'll be making another video soon and get you updated on everything that's going on with that. But as for that, I'm going to sign off right now. Thanks for tuning in to hear me rattle on about what's going on out there. Like always, like, share, subscribe, please. And leave your comments below. Tell me what you're thinking. If I got something wrong, let me know. And yeah, y'all take care. Check us out, gloryguns.com or 1194 Skyline Drive in Hopkinsville. Come on, see us. Just look for the big Ninja Turtle out front. Y'all take care.